Good afternoon, YouTube. It's Brendan for Market Makers, your home for Wyckoff and Advanced Fibonacci TA and financial news updates and a little bit of commentary and ranting. Guys, everything you need to understand about the trajectory for Bitcoin is on my screen in front of you. This is the NASDAQ, the 4-hour, doing exactly as I predicted on this channel. But real quick, let's do a quick recap of the news this week because some big news events are in process and I want you guys to understand this. I'll do my best Gregory Mannarino impression that I can do, who has a good YouTube channel, by the way. You can check him out. Tell him Market Makers sent you if you do go visit him. All right, so quick news. Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan Chase, the CEO, he's been doing this analogy with, we have some storm clouds on the economy. And, people took that as kind of dovish last week. And then this week he comes out and says, it actually looks like a hurricane that's potentially on the economy. And people freaked out about that, right? Keep in mind these big banks, JP Morgan, Goldman, all these big banks didn't see the '08 bubble. They didn't see the dot-com bubble. Most of them, if not all of them, took some form of financial aid from the Fed and from the Treasury, and which means from the American taxpayer in '08. So these are the geniuses that are now predicting things, right? So now he's saying, there's a financial hurricane potentially on the economy. Here's the Gregory Mannarino impression. Duh. Because that's exactly, everybody knows that. If you guys watch this channel, if you watch Jeremy Grantham, if you watch Peter Schiff, you understand what's happening in the economy. Most people do not understand this. Wall Street lives in a bubble. Watch the movie The Big Short. Watch Margin Call. These are based on actual events that happen. They don't understand the actual average person in the economy. If you watch CNBC all day like I do, you hear them say over and over again, well, the consumer's really strong and the consumer has $4 trillion that they've saved up since the pandemic. Okay, 66% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So when they say the consumer is really strong, they also don't mention that credit card debt has exploded last month to a record high month over month, okay? Exploded. You know why? Because everything costs more. Everything costs more money, and people are still spending the same amount of money because that's their budget, but they're using credit cards to pay for it, and they're cutting other things out, like filling up their boat to take the family out for the weekend because to fill up their boat used to be $150, and now it's $300. That type of stuff is being cut out, okay? They call that demand destruction. But understand when you watch these people, most of them are looking at fundamental analysis. They don't understand price action, and they do not understand market cycles. And that is the same for the predictions you are seeing in crypto. Plan B saying 100K by December. 100K by this December. Bitcoin could very likely be reaching very low lows by December, depending on how these markets track, okay? But when you notice Plan B's predictions and some of these other YouTubers that are talking about 250K, 500K, they don't mention inflation at all. They don't mention market cycles at all. You never hear the word bubble. Okay, because their scope of their knowledge is this big and it's only Bitcoin, it's only crypto, and they don't mention that crypto has traded in the longest equities bull market in the history of the stock market. That's the only avenue that crypto has ever driven on, is being in an equities bull market. Okay, so this is new territory for crypto, which is why many of you watch this channel. And now here I am doing a 4-minute rant before I even get to the TA. But I want you guys to understand this, because when people say 250K, 100K, 500K, and they get hundreds of thousands of views and they tweet it all over the place, this is how people get wrecked in this space, because the targets are ridiculous. They're not realistic for the market conditions that we are in. And 2 out of 3 people are stuck that are in crypto. These are the same people that were predicting. Look at Plan B's track record. When we were on our way up to what? 69K, what was he predicting? 200K, 500K? I don't know. You have to go back and look at it. But his predictions have been so far off, yet he still gets invited on these shows. His charts are shown everywhere. Just be aware. It's not that people are scammers. It's that there's a lot of ignorant people in this space that don't have the experience. I'm old of trading for 20 years and understanding market cycles and working with these big banks, okay? And these big banks with the so-called smartest people in the world when it comes to economics and finance, they've missed every single bubble. My goal here is for you to capitalize on the bubbles, to profit on the bubbles, on the waves up and the waves down. And now we're going to get to the TA, okay? Now we're going to get to the TA. And so let's look at the NASDAQ. As you guys know, we've been talking about this extensively last 2 weeks. Wyckoff base, Wyckoff ceiling. Mimicking, or Bitcoin's been mimicking the movements of the NASDAQ. Closest correlation, I'm beating this to death, but people still don't understand it. Closest correlation in the history of Bitcoin is this year since January of the NASDAQ, okay? And remember, Bitcoin and NASDAQ, they both broke out of their Wyckoff accumulation. Only the difference here is the NASDAQ's actually holding it. And not only is it holding it, even after 2 rejections on the 200, it just flipped the 200. It's working on the 233 on the 4-hour. And we want to see how far Bitcoin can go. I need to show you the NASDAQ to show you the potential trajectory for Bitcoin, okay? If the NASDAQ can flip the 233, flip this 618 at 12,927, let's go ahead and look at this. You see you got breakout bullish candle here on the 4-hour time frame, but the key thing that you need to focus on here is A, the market is still at the median line, even with this pump. And B, the volatility has the ability to completely expand. If this upward momentum can continue with follow-through buying candles here, you're going to flip the 233 and the 618 if it can continue. If it cannot and it stalls out right here at the 233, then I'll be shorting this in my room. I already posted the trade setups in the room. Guys, if you want to trade all the markets, equities, commodities, cryptos, join our room. Professional traders, the join button right underneath the video. And of course, I'm trading the cryptos on BitGet with a private tournament coming. I will be announcing those details very soon. They are working on the servers for us to host this private tournament, only available to people with our link in the video description. So here on the 4-hour, if we do flip this, we need to go ahead and scale out. Let's look at the 8-hour, okay? Because we're holding our bullish structure. Not only that, we're making our cup, and we need to get a breakout above the cup and move up. Let's look at the 8-hour time frame. 8-hour time frame, again, we're starting to compress, which means the move is going to start in the 4-hour, and if it gets follow through, it's going to follow through in the 8-hour. As you get more compression, then you'll get expansion, again, another wave up, and you have to be able to defeat the 200, 233, which are higher up here at 13,550. You see this? And again, always being aware of the NASDAQ has made that double top, okay? But it's also the cup pattern on top of Wyckoff, which you can clearly see here on the 8-hour time frame. So you got to flip this, you got to move up. If you do not and the NASDAQ caves back in, this is a drop, guys. If the NASDAQ fails to flip the 233, let's just take a measurement, because again, if the NASDAQ fails and exits this trading range, Bitcoin may hold on for a little bit, but it is not going to stay and pump independently of the NASDAQ, okay? If the NASDAQ comes back down to this trading range, this is a 10% move. That means Bitcoin could drop 20-25%, okay? And if this exits the trading range for another leg down, well, then you got to see what happens, right? But so far, 2 rejections, and now we flip the 200 on the 4-hour, and we're moving up. Looking at the daily, where can this get to? And this will give you some ideas. We're going to tie this to Bitcoin, okay? Just be patient. I know not everybody trades the equities markets, but this is your leading indicator for where Bitcoin's going. So right here on my screen, we have a golden rectangle. Okay, this is the dimensions of 1618, 618, and the target here would be the 1 fib at 13,815. This is a big move in the index. If you just take it from the base of this candle, this is an 11% move from where it sits now, and from the base down here, this is a 20+% move. This last rally was an 18% move. This would be a larger rally. Remember, 47 of the 50 biggest up days in the equities markets occur in bear markets, bear market rallies. And if this got super bullish, guys, it could go to the 1618, which would be a tremendous move. And let's talk about what that would be for Bitcoin. So this would be a 22% move from here. So if Bitcoin's moving at a 2.3 beta, you're talking about a 45% move in Bitcoin if you were able to get up to the 1618. Here in the daily, you can see the cup pattern forming, okay? This all depends, and this is not a one-to-one relationship. If the NASDAQ does make it up here, moves 11%, Bitcoin could move 30%. There's no law saying that if the NASDAQ moves 10%, Bitcoin moves 20%. Bitcoin could move 30%. It could move 40%. It could move 5%. But it's just an average since January. It's been averaging about 2.0 to 2.3. So there looks to be more upside to Bitcoin. If it did come up to this 1618, guys, that translates to, here on the weekly time frame, you'd be hitting your target somewhere between 40,694, 45,438 potentially, okay? That's where you could land between the B wave target here and target 1. You could land somewhere in there if you got the NASDAQ that bullish. If the NASDAQ just pumps up to the 1 fib, then you could come to that 34,798 that we're looking at here. Again, a realistic target here at the 618. Bitcoin here on the daily, by the way, if you zoom in here and see this, we didn't make our cup pattern higher up outside the Wyckoff range, but it looks like we're making our cup pattern here. You can already see it. It is a higher low in range. You can see that here. Here's your 25,538. Here's your second higher low, and this would be your third higher low. If you can hold this and still get your candles to come up, if the NASDAQ pumps and flips those resistances, I'm looking for Bitcoin to break out. And again, we have those lower level targets, 32,991 here on the daily for 0.5 fib, 618, the most commonly retraced 2 fib, 34,798. And if the NASDAQ can really move, guys, I'm looking for that to get flipped. And if the NASDAQ fails, I'm looking to see if Bitcoin can hold this and for how long, because I would anticipate if the NASDAQ exits or enters the bottom of its Wyckoff range, Bitcoin's going to roll, okay? So that's what I'm watching. I'm watching this both directions. Our traders are posting trades and scalps in between as well. So this is how we're trading this marketplace. Let's look at some indicators here on the daily. Look at that compression on the daily. You see the compression for Bitcoin? It is gearing up for a move. The bias will be to the upside if the NASDAQ continues that flip. Okay, if the NASDAQ flips that 200, I think you're going to see Bitcoin start making some progress. So there is bias to the upside still. Even with that little wave down, you still have a lot of compression because look at the ability for the expansion in the channel, okay? And let's go ahead and move this forward to the 8 hour. 8 hour, you can see the structure as well. I mean, look how beautiful this is tracking on the GAN, okay? 8 hour, you see the structure, you're getting your cup type pattern. And again, the true breakout of this pattern would be defeating that high, okay, which is 32,383. That would be the breakout level. And you have all these fibs in between. Again, the same exact fib levels from my daily. I carried them over. But you want to see Bitcoin continue in this fashion. And as you can see, the RSX is waving down. Get a little bit deeper retracement. You're starting to get some contraction here, some flattening out in the volatility. And this has the ability to expand quite a bit. I want to see this get tighter. And as you can see, the volume is getting lower. Okay, the volume is lower. That is good for volatility. You want this to compress like a spring so you get an explosion, okay? Let's go ahead and look at the 4 hour time frame. 4 hour time frame, remember you can throw on your 5 and 21, look for a bullish cross if you do start getting this cup. And as you can see, you are forming this cup. You see the cup? You're forming the cup. Now you need to get follow through with momentum and velocity to defeat these two moving averages. And I do think if the NASDAQ flips those, Bitcoin's going to flip them, okay? And again, that 34,798 target is right there. Love to see it go as high as possible. And again, I will share a trade with you guys when I see an actual trade forming. Right now, you're just forming the cup, okay? You could play this different ways. If you just think it's going to be bullish, obviously you can buy. I personally am not in a trade right now. I was mentioning that to the guys in the Discord as well. I'm tracking the NASDAQ. I'm tracking Bitcoin closely. I want to see how they both react. That NASDAQ is at a key turning point where it could fail and roll or defeat that 233 and we have more upside. So that's what I'm watching here as well. And let's look at some of our indicators here on the 4 hour time frame. Opening this up, you can see our channel is expanded. We need to see this contract. The RSX is down at a baseline. This is good. So we need to see this channel contract. That movement looks like it's going to come from the 8 hour and from the daily, okay? Because remember, it cycles up. As the lower time frames expand, contract, it starts moving up the segments in your time frames, and then it goes back to the beginning again. So we could see those movements in the 8-hour and the daily as well, see a move up to the upside. But again, this is going to take a little bit of time. So let's see how this plays out with the NASDAQ, okay? Let me go ahead and erase this. Let's look at a couple different indicators while we are here. Let's see how our cloud's doing, if it's getting a little bit fatter since we are moving back up. We have this nice support cloud, so you could easily see Bitcoin do something like this, go up and down in this range, start coming up above the cloud, okay? And this, in the meantime, this is all coming down on the 4-hour time frame. You're going to have an impact somewhere. When you get that impact, remember, you can expect retracement just like this, okay? You can expect retracement, but you don't want that. You want to be able to hold whatever pattern you're forming, this cup, maybe roll down at that 382 and then break out, flip it, flip the next one and move out, okay? And that's what we're looking for here. And that was a quick 15 minutes. All right, guys. Another video coming tomorrow. Definitely check out our website too, marketmakers.trade. Our Twitter, guys, if you want to follow us there, those links, everything is in the video description. I'll answer your comments and questions in the YouTube comments section. Have a fantastic afternoon, everybody.